Everybody, I've got Michelle Dietrich here. She's a Washtenaw, is that right?
Washtenaw.
County Commissioner in Michigan, and she's also our Revolution Michigan coordinator.
Yep.
Would that be the way to put that?
Yep.
I've got this feeling that Miss Dietrich is probably going to decide, I'm going to run out here, probably decide to become a candidate for U.S. Representative. She's not declaring.
State Senate. State Senate.
State Senator. She's
Yeah.
She's not going to declare today. What I'm interested in asking the lady is, what kind of thought process did she go through to make the determination to become politically active as a political candidate? And what it's been like trying to get there?
Well, thank you. Thanks for asking the question. To think about why I'm seriously considering, but have not yet decided to run for Michigan State Senator, to go back a little bit to the very early days of the Bernie Sanders campaign. I was driving my son to a Bernie Sanders organizing event. He couldn't drive yet, and I didn't want to sit in the car, and I went in, and that's how it all happened. I became very politically active. I had been an activist for small farm rights. I'm a farmer, beginning farmer, and an environmentalist, but I hadn't gotten involved in electoral politics. So I started volunteering for Bernie, led our local group, developed into a statewide group, and then I became a staffer for Bernie. When Bernie asked people to consider running for local office, I said, he's right, enough is enough. If I want to make change, I have to step up. So I stepped up, campaigned for 6 months, flipped a 6-year Republican-held county commission seat to blue, won, squeaked out a victory, and it's been really empowering and invigorating to have this opportunity to do really good work with my fellow commissioners and the backing of activists. We just signed on to the Paris Climate Accord. We're holding information events about a completely unnecessary and risky pipeline that's proposed to go through our area. So the decision to seriously consider running for state senate has grown out of that experience, because so much of what local government's having to deal with is a direct result of what's happening at the state and the federal level. And the many cuts, the very invasive laws that are being passed that control what local government can do in terms of protecting immigrants. I feel like to really make a difference, I want to work at the state level, and that we need a very strong, progressive Democrat in this particular seat to make that argument. It's also a seat that's been held for over 30 years by a woman. We only have one woman Democratic state senator in Michigan. I'd like the new person to also be a woman.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be. We could do one.
Yeah, we need more women in politics, period.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say for the women's perspective? Do you think it's harder for the women to run for office than men?
You know, I've been told, I don't think this is scientific, I've been told that women have to be asked anywhere from 3 to 7 times before they'll agree to run, whereas the folklore has it that you ask a man once and he says yes before you get finished asking the question. That's obviously an exaggeration. It's a difficult decision for anyone of any gender identity. But I do think that because we know women take on a greater share of the work at home still, not necessarily so in my case. My husband is awesome, but and is very much behind my running. But I do think it can be a more difficult decision for many women. And the fact is, there aren't very many women to look to as examples. And so I think a lot of young women and middle-aged women who are coming out of those strong years when they're putting a lot of time into family, they don't see role models even now. It's one of the most sort of segregated of the professions.
But that's what you're for.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do in part.
Yeah, exactly.
But mostly I want to do good for the environment and for jobs and all that good progressive stuff.
Can I ask you a little bit about your district? About how many people are in the district?
So in my current district, there are about 30,000 people. And both the county district I represent and the state senate district are interesting because they have a core of the urban well-off area, and then a very large, more sparsely populated rural area, which tends to go Republican. And so this actually goes to one of the reasons I want to run. I live in a rural area, but I'm also very much connected to that more urban area, the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti areas. And I feel that I am connected to and have an understanding of both communities and their needs. And we need to meet, as Democrats, we need to also do outreach and be sure that we are meeting the needs as we can of the rural areas. For too long, we've ignored them. So, for example, I'm working hard on preserving farmland. It's a bipartisan issue, actually, and there are issues like that matter a lot to those voters that we can do good from any perspective, I think. And we can't just focus on the issues that matter to the urban cores.
So, one last question. I've got this feeling that a lot of your Republican or conservative voters in your district actually don't want anything other than pretty much what you want. But they just see a different way to get it. They want to go with the conservative
They want good jobs. They want clean air and pure water.
They don't want their kids to starve to death. They want to have some sort of health care, I would assume, depending on the person. Do you have a plan or an idea of how you can connect with the urban Republican with progressive ideas and try to actually have them consider changing the tactic to move to a progressive tactic?
So one thing that I'm working on doing as a county commissioner, and this isn't just for electing me, this is because I think it's a good thing to do, and it goes to exactly what you're talking about. We're working on getting a chart that shows all of the tax revenues coming into the county and where they're spent, because it's a black box. People don't know where their money goes. So when we ask them to raise taxes, they just know they pay a lot of money, and it is a lot of money for them. It's a big percentage, and it means not having a vacation this year sometimes. When they understand, when we, all of us, liberal, conservative, understand where the money is being spent, I think it's a lot easier to buy into and understand that money can be doing good. So that is my plan. I'm working at the county to develop that, and I'm going to go out to all my rural township meetings and show that chart and say, what are your questions? And if I don't know the answer, let me find them out so you can understand where it's going.
Well,
so I think it'll help. I hope.
Seriously, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Whatever decision you decide to take, it's okay, because you're still working, from what I hear, at the county level with the commissioner on trying to preserve some sort of progressive values and make a difference in the community. I appreciate it.